And welcome back to the Spicy Sports Show with Sam Cerrone, coming to you live from Burlington, Vermont. It is about 7:35 on the clock here in Burlington, 4:35 out on the West Coast. You can check us out on Spreaker.com /SCERON1. You can also tweet me at the real Sam Cerrone. Not that I really use Twitter, but if you want, go ahead and do that. Just some quick news updates here. LaShawn McCoy, man, I'm going to use this because it's been used all over. Shady's acting shady lately. He's probably going to get an arrest warrant by next Thursday for his altercation in an alleged brawl. Also, Barry Sanders' son transferring from Stanford to play his final year at Oklahoma State, where Daddy won a Heisman. So we're going to see how that goes. And finally, the Raiders agreed to lease the Oko Coliseum for 2016, meaning it's a one-year deal there. So it looks like the Raiders are going to stay put, I believe, right where they are. So, of course, we're going to go on to our next topic, college basketball. It is always a hot topic to talk about college basketball, especially because we're in the middle of February, which means everyone's starting to create their pools for March Madness. So right now, no games are being played at the moment, at least from the top 25. You do have Iowa and Indiana playing at 9 p.m. You can check that out on ESPN. Also on ESPN2, you can check out the Oregon Ducks, ranked 11th in the country, taking on Cal in Pac-12 action. So, looking at what we have for the number one seeds, having a number one seed means you're one of the best four teams in the country, typically speaking. Some teams may be overrated, some teams may be underrated, depending on how you feel and how your biases work. So, looking at the bracketology here, let me just make sure that it is set up. So this is going to be the new one, actually made up today. Thank you, Joe Lenardi from ESPN.com. So as it stands right now, the overall number one seeds, Oklahoma, Villanova, Kansas, and Iowa. Honestly, don't have a problem with many of them. I think that those are, for right now, the four number one seeds in the country. Oklahoma, again, they've had a tough schedule this season. I know they play Kansas, which is going to be huge. Again, two of the four teams of the four number one seeds are coming out of the Big 12, which, in my opinion, has really leaps and bounds been the best conference in the country. Because on any given night, you can go ahead and get upset. And also, don't forget about West Virginia. West Virginia is a pretty good team in their own right, looking pretty solid. I'm trying to find them where they are in the brackets here. I believe they are a 3 seed, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they are a 3 seed in the Midwest as of right now. So, for me, the number one seeds, again, they're not terrible, but of the teams that I think are going to do some damage in the tournament, there's one team out on the West Coast, and Tom and I discussed it during the break, that has made a lot of noise this season. They were ranked. They had a terrible 2014-2015 season. In the first part of the season, they came on late last season and have gotten better this season. So much that right now, Joe Lenardi has them as a number 2 seed in the West. And of course, I'm talking about the Oregon Ducks. Right now, 20-4 on the season. Again, they are playing Cal tonight. You can check that out on ESPN2 at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Their schedule right now, and Tom brought this up too, 4-0 against the RPI top 50, if I'm not mistaken. 9-2 in conference play. 1.5 game lead over USC, which again also has had a surprising start at 18-5 as well. You're looking through the Pac-12, it's pretty deep. You have Oregon, USC, Arizona, Utah's doing some damage, Washington, and also Colorado, and Cal is also making some noise as well. So for me, Oregon, I mean, you look at their schedule, they've been playing absolutely great basketball the last couple of weeks here. Beating number 21 USC, beating Arizona at Arizona, which is a hard thing to do when Arizona is typically a good team, and a lot of great road wins at Arizona State, at Utah. So, Tom, who are your number one seeds? And I'll go with mine. Projected number one seeds that you think are going to go into the NCAA tournament, and I'll go with mine.
All right. Well, first off, my number one pick is going to be Oakland. Oakland has been an all-around good offensive-defensive team.
You mean Oklahoma?
So I like where they are at in the South. For East, Villanova is not my number one. My number one is actually North Carolina. Villanova has not proven, I will say, that they should be number one. Just the fact that when I was looking at the RPI, they've only played 3 teams in the top 25 RPI rankings, and they've lost 2 games, and they've only won once. The only reason why they're probably up so high is because of their RPI between 51 and 100. They've gone 9-0. So congrats to them. They're on 11-1 win loss in the past 12 games. Villanova, I don't see number one, given North Carolina. The Midwest, when I was looking down at it, Iowa does seem like a good fit for number one. I wish Gonzaga was a number one, but they last time they were chosen to be number one, they sucked. Not gonna lie. And my other number one, I do think Kansas does beat Oregon. I'm going to say that to you.
That's fine.
Their offense and Ellis, this is his last year, and I think he wants to go out with a big bang, so he's going to help his team make it to the Final Four. But Oregon, close second.
Again, I don't blame you, Tom. Any of those rankings, I mean, they work. Again, this isn't, obviously solid because we still have a couple weeks to go, and then the conference tournaments at the end of the month and the beginning of next month as well. So right now, the way I'm looking at it, I don't have a problem with Oklahoma as a number one seed as well. I think that Oklahoma is arguably the most complete and deepest team in the country. Buddy Hield is absolutely phenomenal. I think he's going to win Player of the Year, as I mentioned on Sunday. I think that he has that it factor that can take over a game late. I'm really excited to see how that game against Kansas goes at Oklahoma, because that first game at Kansas was arguably one of the top 3, if not top games, maybe top 2 games of the season thus far. Buddy Hield, I'm trying to pull up the amount of points that he put up in that game. That game was insane. Let me see here. It was 109-106 that game, by the way. So that was in overtime, too, which, again, in college basketball, scoring over 100 points, I don't care who you are, I don't care who you play, that's impressive. When both teams score over 100 points, they are just lighting it up. I believe Hield had over 50, I think it was like 55 points probably. So I, again, don't have a problem with them. I think they're going to stay as a number one seed, assuming they take care of their business, get to at least the Big 12 championship game to keep that ranking. In the East, I don't agree. I agree with you. Same thing. Villanova, not really for me a number one seed. I do think North Carolina is going to be that number one seed thus far. And I think that they're a team that is just getting started. I think if they win the ACC, which is, again, a deep team, deep ACC this year, they're going to play pretty well. So Buddy Hield, just to make sure, just to correct myself, he had 46, but still pretty impressive as well nonetheless. Out of the – what is the next conference? Out of the West, I do have Oregon as the number one seed right now. Again, I think if Oregon can go through the Pac-12 and win the conference tournament, they're definitely deserving. Again, right now, they're 4-0 against the RPI top 50. Very impressive. Kansas, again, I don't have any problems with them being number one seed. It's just that because they play in a deep conference, but Oregon's just been the hottest team in the country thus far. And out of the Midwest, for me, I do have a problem with Iowa. Because Maryland beat Iowa. So I would put Maryland there as a number one seed. They've had a couple losses this season. Yes, they have. They lost to Michigan, lost at Michigan State, which, again, I can't blame Maryland for losing in that game. That game was, just ridiculous. And as well as an early season loss to UNC at UNC. So those 3 losses aren't terrible. Right now, Maryland leads the conference is behind Iowa by half a game in conference play, but they beat them head-to-head. So for me, that does take precedent over their ranking. And again, Maryland being the number 2 team, at least in the country, they still have a lot of games left to play where they can prove themselves as well. Also beating Purdue a couple weeks ago. They play Purdue again at Purdue. They play Wisconsin in a couple days, play against the Illinois March 3rd, and then round out their schedule at Indiana, which, again, is never a tough Never an easy game, nonetheless. Tom, who do you think is your player of the year? I know that I didn't give you much time for this, but out of what you watched this season, who do you think could be player of the year in college basketball?
Well, I actually agree with you with the Oklahoma player. I haven't really been paying much attention, but when it came to ESPN and them telling who's crap, I'm trying to get to it. I'm gonna just agree with you because I can't get the
Nope, it's totally fine.
Person's name up. Oh, there you go. Buddy
Hield.
Yeah, Buddy. Yeah.
Okay.
He's, I think, ranked. No, not seeing that crap. I was looking for a top performers of 2015, 2016 throughout the whole country, but
okay, I can give you. I mean, for me again, Buddy Hield. I'm not going to say by much. Again, his performances are really, really great. So for now, at least for me, I think I see him as the number one overall favorite. Denzel Valentine from Michigan State is the Draymond Green of college basketball. He can put up a triple-double any night. He is the heart and soul of that team from Michigan State. He makes that team go. Averaging about 18.5 points a game, 8.3 rebounds, and 7 assists, which is insane for college basketball. So I think if Michigan State can pull out a tournament win in the conference tournament, he could probably be the player of the year. And if Buddy Hield doesn't. Chris Dunn from Providence, he is pretty much, I would say, the best shooter in the country. This guy can take over a game any given night. He's just that impressive. Putting up 17.5 points, 6.4 rebounds, 7.3 assists per game, shooting 47% from the field, 36, about almost 37 from three. Very impressive there. Number 4, Grayson Allen from Duke. While Duke hasn't had as great of a season as expected, falling out of the top 25 for the first time in a really long time, Grayson Allen is still the heart and soul of his team. Right now, he's the guy leading the show, and as a point man, that's what you're supposed to do. Right now, Allen averaging a little over 20 points a game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He put on a lot of weight. If you saw him last season to this season, this guy bulked up pretty well. He's definitely a little more yoked this season, to be honest. And then number 5, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is obviously going to be the number 1 pick in this year's draft. Everyone is it's essentially, I guess, the hashtag tanking for Ben. I guess maybe I just made up that hashtag. I don't know. But Ben Simmons is arguably the most exciting player in college basketball, being a freshman. Again, LSU would not be remotely in the conversation for the NCAA tournament if it wasn't for Ben Simmons just taking over games. Right now he's averaging 20.5 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals per game. Right now, 6'10", can shoot the lights out of the ball. Very impressive. He's for 6'10", he's very mobile, and he can be all over the court. He just needs to work on his shooting a little bit better. In that game against Oklahoma, which is arguably, again, another really good game this year, he didn't take a shot in the last 10 minutes. I feel like had he taken over that game like he probably should have, LSU probably could have pulled off the upset and beaten Oklahoma, which was ranked number 1 at the time. So we'll see what happens there. Again, all these players are really exciting. I think this season will be very exciting for college basketball just because of those big-name players. I'm assuming they're all going to make the tournament, and they're all going to probably have to carry their teams and pull out individual performances to move forward in college basketball. So we're going to take a short